Today is January 12th, 2024. I'm at section 7 of my A trade development. As my development becomes more and more apparent and allows me to place my development into documentation. So what I've noticed in the past several days, which seems to have found a strategic, I would say an advantage. So I would say there's an advantage to this particular setup. So there are two types that I've observed. Primarily, these are the two types that I've observed. The first part is when the stock breaks out and starts to trend. Now that can be a very lucrative situation. And all I have to do is have a automated setup in which I would place a buy here at this point, buy at this point here. So before it breaks out, then it's going to be range bound. And then when it breaks out, then it's going to trigger a buy. And then as soon as it starts to move up, I'll ride right along with it. As it's triggered and bought, it moves up and take advantage of this trend. Now, I've successfully traded several trades. I've made several trades based on this concept yesterday. Now, I was looking forward to utilizing this today as well. I did, however, utilize this in the morning and was able to balloon up one of my challenges. And what I was expecting is that I would see something similar throughout the day, but it all turned out to be very similar to this situation here. It's range, it's range bound. And so basically, what I have to do is figure out a way to create an entry point if I were to trade this particular setup. Trading this particular setup requires me to understand so essentially in this region here, it's called the range. I've observed this, and I can draw a little box around it, and I do that quite often throughout the day. So I throw in a little box here, just like that, and so essentially it sits within a box, and it toggles between up and down. And then once in a while, what it will do is that what it will do is it'll essentially poke through here. And then when I have my buy order expecting that it's going to go that way, what it will do is it'll re-enter into the box and continue trading like this, and it happens that way. When I have this trend mindset, this can be a very, very difficult day for me. And it could essentially erode my trading account, because 1, 2, or 3 of these will trigger a mental divergence from reason. And after several losses, my mind at least anyway, goes defeat mode, and it's difficult to recover. Even if something like this occur, I'm second guessing myself because of this situation. So now what I need to do is now I'm going to develop a concrete information. So for this, I know the identification is essentially a level. Okay, so there's essentially a level here. So the first criteria is called level. When I see a level such which defines support and resistance, that would be a great area of that would be a great area where there is a corralling or range bound situation that occurs here. So if I look here, so essentially there would be a line that defines a support or resistance. When that resistance is removed or crossed over, then there is this tendency to create a fill of void that occurs between this range to another support, resistance area up above. So I would look at the identification of entry is essentially support and resistance there. And then another thing that needs to occur is a candle with strong thrust must occur. When that happens, then that gives me an idea that it's going to keep going up. And then a follow-up candle, strong, moving in the same direction. Now, the identification of exit is when things start to taper off in the aggression of the trend with small candles, slower candles, rounding of the candles, eventually red candles with retracements. It could either be a hold pattern to continue or outright reversion mode. So these are the things that I need to be aware of. And there's also a resistance level reached. So these are the things that would tell me that I would have to look at these situations, which currently is a very strong support for helping me to enter the trade and find an exit point where I can to exit. Now, this is where the tricky part is, right here. This part right there. This is an area where I need to clearly visit and analyze to figure out what I can do to make this work for me. So this is something that I need to develop and figure out what to do on here. Because what it will do is it'll behave similar to this. It'll pop up, but after the candle and a wick pops up, it drops and then just drops here. And then it may, because of these red candles, it may or may not rebound, because that is every bit an indication that it's going to move down, move down, right? However, because it's range bound, it moves right back up and repeats and repeats and repeats. And at this point, I'm asking myself, is it going to remain in the range, or is it going to extricate itself from the range? And that is the question that I ask myself whenever these points are reached. So the difficult part is understanding this area here. I need to study up on how I can handle this range bound situation. This range bound could be a large point move. These could be very large, or it could be small. And so I need to figure out a solution, and that would be my next step in my development.